Good morning, everyone. We are breezing right along. Day 4 of Advent, the stirring in the darkness. This particular theme is incredibly close to my heart. There's something about the metaphor, the symbol, or the concept of darkness that's incredibly enticing to me. The word is used in contrast in common parlance, isn't it? Dark and light. Even if we use it pointing to what we understand, oh, I saw the light. That means our minds or our hearts or our souls understood something. Or, wow, I'm really in the dark. It points to a sense of confusion, a lack of knowing. And the concept can be scary, right? Shadows. In fact, before I wrote this theme, I was reflecting on the title, not for our Advent, but just in contrast, stirring in the shadows. There's something very ominous about that. It's as though evil is being concocted. So often we have a judgment on the idea of darkness. And that judgment leads us to want to not be in the dark. There's something about being dark that can make us bad or wrong. There's something about darkness that is void of light. And yet, our emergence in God, our emergence to discover that the ineffable essence is that in which we live and move and have our being. The discovery of that happens oftentimes in darkness. It happens when we have moments when we are divested of our personal self-interest. It happens in moments when we are stripped of sensory things that fill our cup. It happens in a moment when we experience disillusionment. And I'm sure if we had more time, we could have a deeper exploration and you could discover that some of your most inspired moments have happened in a place that we might call darkness. And this darkness then I see as incredibly creative and generative. I equate darkness not with bad or evil, but with chaos. And chaos isn't comfortable for us human beings either, is it? We like a sense of order, a sense of certainty, a sense of, I've got my ducks in a row. And chaos is not that. Chaos is the opposite of that. It comes from the Greek and it means wide open. It's an infinite darkness. It's sometimes referred to or translated as abyss, as gaping. And in scriptural reference, and I mean scriptural in the broadest sense of all traditions, chaos is pointed to in the Torah. It's pointed to in Babylonian texts in the Enuma Elish and other parallel texts as being the primordial state that is formless, from which form comes. In our path of self-realization, in our path of union with that which is uncreated, what happens in the process is that we surrender into the formlessness over and over again until the stirring that's happening within us in that chaos generates us into a new creation. And this newness is filled with light. This newness is light in the dark. This new creation that we become is not a state of being where we can claim we are always in the light in the popular sense of that. But what it does mean as we are emerged into the creation in all its fullness that we are meant to be, what it does mean is that the contrasts, the paradoxes between light and dark disappear, and dark is not dark to us. In Psalm 139, that is so eloquent in its reference, it's a very relational psalm. If you're familiar with it, I love it. But it goes like this: you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? And further on in the psalm, it says, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me. But even the darkness is not dark to you. So if we are emerging, if the stirring of divinity is happening within us at every moment, and it's happening in the chaos of what we might call darkness, if it's happening from the primordial state of formless being, how then do we discover? How then do we silence ourselves in such a way that we discover the stirring? For it is only when we come to that place of silence that the stirring is discovered, and we are granted the greatest consolation that is possible, that within our very being, we are never alone. That in the voidness, there is presence. It can only be discovered by the experience of being there and going there. So today we're going to do a play of contrast with chant. I'm just going to take 3 phrases since we're not all being audible and I can't teach a nice chant to you. But we're going to take 3 Sanskrit words, Om, Gum, Shrim. And these are seed syllables. And these seed syllables contain the fullness of what they mean. Om is consciousness, period. Gum is the seed syllable for Ganesh, which is an entity that represents the remover of all obstacles. And Shrim is an entity, Lakshmi, that represents being filled. So we move from a place of openness into a place of realization. We'll chant and then we'll be silent. Chant and silent. And at the end, I'll read John of the Cross's Dark Night of the Soul, which speaks so eloquently to the stirring at the center of our being, the formlessness from which all creative and generative states, even in this very moment, happen within us. So I invite you to close your eyes. And each time we tone the syllables, we'll tone them 3 times and then we'll pause. So just join in. Om Gum Shri. Om Gom 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 Shri. On a dark, secret night, starving for love and deep in flame. Oh, happy, lucky flight. Unseen, I slipped away. My house at last was calm and safe. Blackly free from light, disguised and down a secret way. Oh, happy, lucky flight. In darkness, I escaped. My house at last was calm and safe. On that happy night, in secret, no one saw me through the dark. And I saw nothing then, no other light to mark the way, but fire pounding in my heart. That flaming guided me more firmly than the noonday sun. And waiting there was the one I knew so well, who shone where nobody appeared to come. O night, my guide, O night more friendly than the dawn, O tender night that tied lover and the loved one in the lover fused as one. On my flowering breasts, which I have saved for my love alone, he slept, and I caressed and fondled him with love. And cedars fanned the air above. Wind from the castle wall, while my fingers played in his hair. Its hand serenely fell, wounding my neck, and there my senses vanished in the air. I lay, forgot my being. And on my love I leaned my face. All ceased. I left my being, leaving my cares to fade among the lilies far away. Draw your palms together in front of your chest. May you abide in the silence today that lets you discover that you are always in the presence of the one who loves you. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Great to be with you. See you tomorrow.